ecology and its concepts. Okay, now ecology is having functionally two concepts here. Those are structurally and functionally. There are two concepts. One is structural concept. Another one is functional concept. Okay, now when we are talking in terms of ecology, when it is functional wise, there are basically two principles involved in ecology, that is called as structural concept as well as the functional concept. Now first we will deal about the structural concept. Now here in this, when we are talking about structural concept, we will talk about first environment, because total ecology is moving around or running around the environment and its components, right? Now we can consider that environment is a complex and dynamic structure, and it is having, as environment is a dynamic and complex structure, it is having n number of factors associated with it. Now here what will happen, it is therefore considered here environment, as it is complex and having different components, it will work as a sieve. Okay, and it will filter only those substances or factors which are required for its growth, development and migration, or for the upliftment of its growth. So here, as environment is a complex and dynamic structure, it has n number of factors, so all factors are not needed for a particular organism to survive. So what it does, as it works as a sieve. What is sieve? A hold perforated plate like structure. What we do, we just filter the necessary things and remove the unfiltered things. So in the same way, environment also filters and selects the organisms in its particular environment, and so that those organisms which can flourish well in that particular environment, organisms which cannot flourish well in that environment are removed out. Okay, so that will be one of the structural point of it. Next one is the interdependency. Now in interdependencies, here all the organisms and environment, why we are calling the word interdependency, we are calling the word interdependency here because in environment all the organisms and environment both are interrelated. Now these are dependent mutually and reactive, and they are dependent on each other, so that both are mutually benefited, and both will be showing the growth and development and flourishment in the equal number. Now next one is, you are having a concept to call as uniformity. I can call it, we can just consider it as uniformity. Here the organism or here, for example, in an environment, an organism or a species will have different, its individuality, it has own specificity. So now here this interaction between the environment and the organism will try to bring about a uniformity in between the two atmospheres here. Now if a particular organism A is living in a particular environment B, okay, now what will happen, this will try to have an interrelationship with this, and this will have an interrelationship with this. Now with this will happen, they will try to get a uniformity in the structure, functioning and development of that particular environment, so that they can preserve their genetic pool, right? So that they can develop or they preserve the genetic characters of that particular time, of that particular generation or that particular organism in that particular environment. Now so since there are sufficient plasticity, these organisms may also have the ability to change accordingly with the environment, and bringing uniformity is adjusting the particular organism and A with the particular environment B. So now they will have an interrelationship, so that they get uniformity in the structure, functioning and growth of that particular environment, so that they develop their basic constant genetic pool is maintained. But sometimes what happens with the changing environment, so we can live after 10 years, after 20 years, after a decade, after 100 years, what will happen, this particular human being or that particular organism which is surviving in that particular environment adapts itself to the changing environment. And when they are adapting to the changing environment, these changes will be occurring with the changes in their somatic characters or either by genetic characters. So those changes in the somatic characters are called as ECADs, and those with the somatic characters are called as ECADs, and those with the genetic characters are called as ecotypes. Right? If an organism which is existing in the environment, which has stabilized itself to the particular environment, so that at the end of the day it is developing its own genetic, maintaining or conserving its genetic characters or genetic pool, may after a period of time of growth or continuity, it may adapt to the changing environment, or it may change or show little bit variation with the changing environment. If that changes are occurring with the changes in the somatic characters, then that type is called as ECADs. And if that type of variation or adaptation to the changing environment is occurring with the changes in the genetic character, then that is called as ecotypes. What does it conclude here? It only means that it is not only the environment which is changing the organism. Means we said both are coming at uniformity and adapting to the environment. At sometimes they are also organism is also adapting to the changing environment. So it can also be said now clearly that not only the environmental changes the organism, changing environment affects the organism, but the activities which are getting involved in during the process of growth patterns in that particular organism will also affect the environment. So what will happen because of this? The activities of organism will definitely change the environment. So this modified environment will have some modifications, will get new changes because of the modifications created by the activities or conducted by that particular organisms. Okay. Normally we studied environmental changes affect the organism, but there are some possibilities that changes in the activities or growth patterns of the organisms may also affect the environment. Now when this type of changes are occurring, this type of environment will become normal environment, it will get converted into modified environment. So when we are talking in terms of modified environment, there is a possibility that the modified environment is not accepted by the organisms which are existing there, or newly formed organisms may not have the possibilities, or the old organism which are existing in the old environment accept the modified environment, because of which what will happen, many new species will migrate and come and settle down in the modified environment. We got to get outer organisms to get and adjust to that modified environment. So that type of the process is called as succession. So what does it mean? When there is a change in the environment because of the activities of the organism and lead to the formation of modified environment. So there is a possibility that there is no acceptance to the modified environment. So what we will do, there will be invasion of other communities in that particular environment. So the invasion or entering of other communities in the environment can be termed as succession. This process is also can be considered one as the structural aspects of ecology, and this process of succession continues till the invasion organism which entered the modified environment is settled down structurally, functionally, till it is more or less stabilized to itself to the modified environment. Then that process goes on continuing, and that at the end stage is called as climax stage. Okay. When does the climax stage comes? The organism which is invaded inside the modified environment, and it is trying or it is being stabilized to that particular newly modified environment, and it starts its growth, distribution and migration in a normal phenomena. Then that process is called as succession till it occurs, till it attains the climax community of that particular organism. Okay. Next. Another concept when we are talking in terms of structural aspects of ecology, we will use the term called as biome. Okay. What is biome? It was a word used by two ecologists, Clement and Shelford. All the plants and all the animals are related to each other with their coaction and reaction in that particular atmosphere, and they attains a stage of stability. Okay. The biome is nothing but an interaction between plants and animals which is occurring on the basis of the coactions and the reactions, so that they are mutually interrelated with each other, and they develop a stability towards their growth and formation. Now here biome is nothing but the complex of several communities which are growing in a particular area and have sharing the same atmosphere for their continuity, same atmosphere or same climate for the growth and stability is called as biome. A group of different organisms living in a same particular area, sharing the same atmosphere and climate for the growth is called as biome. So these are the structural aspects of ecology. One is environmental aspect, the interdependency, next existence of uniformity for maintaining the genetic pool, and next one is the process called as succession exists, and another word is called as biome. These are the structural aspects. Now we will deal with functional aspects. Next, as we have studied earlier the structural concept, now we will study about the functional concept. In functional concepts, we will study first about what is ecosystems. We will take the basic and structural unit of nature are ecosystems. What are these? Basic, structural and functional units. Okay, so these ecosystems are basic, structural and functional units. These ecosystems are nothing but a segments of nature which consist of group of living organisms, and along with the organisms their physical environment or their interaction and their the physical environment and their interaction and exchanging of material between the organism and its particular physical environment is called as ecosystem. So this can be considered as one of the functional aspect, in which we will study about different ecosystem, how in particular is ecosystem the living organisms are living, and how that living organisms are related, interrelated and exchange material between their environment or physical components where they are surrounded. Now next one is the biological community consists of populations. Okay, now each population now here when we are talking about functional point of view, we will talk about some biological composition of populations. In populations, what will have? A population of different species will have different set of populations. Now when we are studying about ecosystem, we will talk about trophic levels, where ecological pyramids we will talk in detail later. In each ecological pyramid, you will be studying about each level will have each section of population situated and which interacts, and here for example there are autotrophs, these are heterotrophs and these are carnivores. For example, if we take an example of a trophic levels or pyramid, these are autotrophs, this is one section of population, herbivorous is one section of population and carnivorous is one section of population. Now this specific, each population is provided a specific position at each trophic level with due respect to their individual interaction with the physical environment and their interaction with the other group of other trophic level organisms which are existing in the other trophic level. So this process is called as ecological Nike. Ecological Nike. This is important. What is ecological Nike? It is nothing but the organism with which it interacts. The population is provided a specific position at each trophic levels, and the interaction at each trophic level with respect to the organism with which it is interacting. So this process is called as interacting, and its physical environment is called as ecological Nike. Next one is the degree of success of a particular population is determined on the basis of two factors. Those are biotic factors and abiotic factors. Right? Now the parameters of biotic factors and abiotic factors, and as well as their interaction with that of the particular environment, when we are taking into consideration the biotic factors and the environment surrounding the biotic factors. Abiotic factors, in abiotic factors light, temperature, heat, humidity, pH value, all that, the environment surrounding that population, the interaction among the population and the interaction between the biotic factors, the atmosphere and the organism. So this type of, maybe you may have a possibility of positive interaction, or you may have the possibility of negative interaction. The population can be positive or negative, or even you will see neutral also, neutral type of reactions, neutral interactions at both inter and intra, neutral reactions at both inter and intraspecific levels. Next one is, one more you will have, the source of energy is solar energy here. Okay. Now, the flow of energy, the energy trapped from the sun is converted, the solar energy trapped from the sun is converted into chemical potential energy and utilized for the preparation of the food material. So, now the flow of energy from one tropic level to the other tropic level, from lowermost organism to the topmost organism, is occurring stepwise, and the flow of energy from one tropic level to the another tropic level is unidirectional. What means unidirectional? The energy which is coming from the sun is being transferred to different levels of organism, but it is not given back to the sun again. And this study of energy flow and movement of energy from one tropic level to another tropic level, how much energy is utilized, how much is being wasted, that can be studied in a cyclic pattern or in a non-cyclic pattern. So, these are called as energy flow. This study is called as energy flow. Okay. These are few aspects of functional aspects of ecology, right.